we won't have to have a conversation of, hey, we're about to go over that 5%. One of the things we do is we help consult on navigating how to afford your FEMA costs or your disaster costs and how to quickly get reimbursed. At this point, all I have is a bunch of rumors for you, and I'll be a little bit of a rumor monger in repeating them, but I can say that this is so widespread of a disaster that both the state and the federal government will have to do something because the entire state can't go bankrupt. Normally, it is a reimbursement process, meaning you have to spend the money, have a canceled check to get your money back. But how are we going to do that? I can answer that. So if it's over $1 million, we have to have the canceled check before we get our money back. So we'll try to keep the grants below $1 million in groupings, we will do something called an expedited grant to help fast track some funding. FEMA will offer 50% upfront. Basically, we'll get the debris hauler and the debris monitor to put on letterhead what they expect the expenses to be. I'll get some pictures. I'll put my own estimate on letterhead, and we'll submit that and ask for a 50% upfront. There is also something called the Operation Clean Sweep from the United States Army Corps of Engineers. That's going to be an option in about 3 weeks if the community elects to go Operation Clean Sweep. It's exactly what it sounds like. You are completely hands off, and they will take over all debris operations, and they will handle the expenses. You lose control when you do that, meaning you can't tell the debris hauler, hey, I want you to have 6 trucks in this zone today because we're going to have, but we need to get the school buses through. You don't have control. But you also don't have control. I mean, it's great, you're completely hands off. But you may have 6 trucks, or you may have 600, it will be up to them. At the Operation Clean Sweep, we'll use contractors as well. It could end up being the same exact debris hauler. The same company could subcontract to who you have currently, Phillips and Jordan, and then change his contract from Phillips and Jordan to a company called Ashbridge, which has the contract for Army Corps of Engineers. At the federal taxpayer level, the Operation Clean Sweep from Army Corps of Engineers is much more expensive, but they guarantee mission completion, not necessarily cost containment. But for a community that is financially strapped, you may want to consider going that direction. Other communities in your area have something going on called interjurisdictional agreements, where the county is actually picking up the debris on behalf of the cities. That way the debris trucks don't essentially have to stop at the city line. The monitors don't have to clock in and out. Per FEMA rules, when a debris truck is on a job, they can't be on 2 jobs at once. So they have to be placarded in, certified in for the county or certified in for the city. They can't be working both at the same time. And the same thing for the monitors. They can only be billing for the city or billing to the county. So having 2 separate debris contracts is administratively burdensome to the debris hauler and debris monitor, and will slow down operations. But if that's the way the city and county want to go, that's fine, they can make it work. It's just, you may want to consider that. But then the county is on the hook for all the debris costs, and then the county is the one who asks FEMA for reimbursement. But again, then the county's on the hook for the reimbursement. The problem with that is then the county has to come up with the money somewhere. I have heard, back to the rumor mongering, that the state is looking at options to provide some loan or some upfront funding. Both of the companies that you're currently working with are reputable companies that will want to get paid at some point, but I haven't had the experience of either of those companies getting nasty about payment. I have had that experience with other companies in the industry, but those two, I believe them when they say they will work with you. So I probably went all over the place, but ask me more questions and I'll answer them. So outside of debris, we will help the city gather all the documentation for reimbursement for your police and your fire truck usage during the event. It's really important that, especially for a cash-strapped community like yours, to not leave any money on the table. So, you know, if it's an F-150 4x4, we want to make sure we get the F-150 4x4 rate instead of just the F-150 rate. And so I'll work with the departments and documentation and figure out what we need to do there.
First question that I would have is directly for your company. Are you like the ones that we have hired so far with the debris and the ones, when would you have to be paid?
We do not have a board of directors. We do not have investors. We will work with you because I'll be all up in your business. I'll know that you're getting paid, so I'm more comfortable with it. By all up in your business, meaning I'm going to be helping FEMA process your grants,
Right.
so I have a level of comfort that you are getting the money,
Absolutely.
especially because I'm putting the grant together. So I'm happy to put modify language in the contractor task order to that effect. You know, it's not a good business decision. We just can't say the words, when you get paid by FEMA, I get paid, because then it becomes a contingent contract. And every rule that exists within FEMA is because someone did shenanigans. So it's FEMA considers those contingent contracts as a no-no. I'll just leave it at that, because maybe it encourages people to upsize their grants, or
I got you.
it would be easier that way, like an attorney in a car accident or something like that. But that's just shenanigans. We'll just leave it at that. The rule exists because something bad happened before.
Mm-hmm. The only commitment out of us, so to speak, besides to kind of give her organization an open book into our finances, was to assign someone to work with them, which we did last night, and that's Jamie. So you
Yes.
and Jamie will become best friends going forward. But I don't think there's anything else. We just really, I mean, I don't know your situation. I mean, I know a little bit about it, but we didn't have choice. I mean, we need somebody to make sure
Yeah.
we get everything back and make sure it's a seamless situation.
All of our people are overloaded with their daily tasks as it is. We've got to bring somebody in to handle this.
And especially,
Yeah, we'll have about 5 people in the area for the next several months. Right now, our biggest problem is finding lodging, but you know that's our problem, not your problem. So we're around, but sometimes it takes us an hour to get here because of the lodging. But fingers crossed, sleep in. That's where I'm going to be sleeping tonight, only half an hour away.
Back.
Yeah, yep.
well, we did hire a county administrator last night.
Oh, awesome.
Start on the 18th, I
Okay.
think is the date, as long as everything goes well. So that'll help tremendously,
Yeah.
or at least, you know, to add a little more transparency, because right now, I mean, nobody knows what's going on because I'm making all the decisions and making them from my house.
Right.
Well, you know, Jamie knows enough
To
that
get
she
by,
calls and
but,
asks
yeah,
me,
yeah.
but there ain't no way to communicate that to all 5 commissioners without having a meeting every 3 hours all day long.
Right.
And so it's going to be nice to have an administrator coming on board in a couple of weeks, just to add that layer back to it again.
Jamie will still be her official contact, not
Right.
the administrator.
Right, no, the administrator is
They
basically going to
coordinate
run the
with-
county and release her to be able to work with
Right.
them.
And the same thing at the city side, we'll need a single point of contact that we would work with, and I I assume it's the clerk, but, and we will assist, and at the same time, we work best when we have something called a delegation of authority, and I'll prepare that for the attorney to look at, so that we can talk to FEMA on your behalf, so that when we say, this is the claim, or, we want to withdraw this one, or because it's covered by insurance, that FEMA can act on that. And so that we're not just always playing this game of, I don't know, you're going to have to ask.
Yeah.
We just need to get done.
Yeah.
The faster we can get documentation together, the faster we can get paid.
Yep.
And so I'll have, right now we have 6 people here, so we'll have 6 people here, and I'll have one person, just as fast as we can get the information, we'll be feeding it into the system. Right now, we would be waiting on FEMA, not FEMA waiting on us, and that's the way I want it to be. I want to be first in line. Me, money,
Right.
money.
Let me ask you, for me, because I don't understand all this, and it's
Yeah.
something new that never happened in Jeff Davis County
Uh-huh.
either. But have you all ever done business with the state of Georgia? I mean,
We
you
have
ever
not.
had none of this before?
We have not ever worked in the state of Georgia before.
Okay, but you've done it with other states?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Okay, since you don't have a board and thing like that, so, one thing that we all talk about, but then people make decisions, and they're making them the best they can.
Right.
One thing that the governor said, that it come down, do not sign the contract unless you check people out.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's my thing, is because I know in my community, people's been coming along, and sometimes just to move one tree, and
Storm chasers.
that's important to me.
Yeah,
They want to charge people $10,000
Yeah.
to move a tree. And people don't have this kind of
Yeah.
money and things like here. So how
why am I not that kind of person?
no, but I mean, but if it's gonna come up with something with the state, who guards us?
So you can have, well, one, you have your Montana,
Yes.
That group.
they know me, they know
Okay.
us by reputation, and I've, so ask them about our company.
And Debris Tech's the same. They worked with them before. as
Yeah,
well.
and ask Debris Tech and Phillips and Jordan. Also, on our website, we have lots of letters of reference there. We have a state term master service agreement in the state of Kentucky. We've been working in the local communities for over 10 years there. Such that the state decided at the state level to give us a contract so that the locals no longer had to do procurement. So we have the trust of the state of Kentucky. And Mother Nature just hates Kentucky, so.
Mr. Johnson, I also reached out and asked some of my legislator contacts about y'all specifically, and got all good reports from them, so.
And the only reason we're going down this avenue was mainly because, so I guess the governor knew our situation after his visit, and nobody could really figure out how to get their hands around what we needed to be doing. How do we get started? Of course, Phillips and Jordan was a big starting point, but the second statement out of his mouth after that was, hire you a consultant to
Right.
manage
Right.
this part of the operation. He said, I'm not talking about Debris Tech. They're going to manage the debris side. You need a consultant, especially with no county administrator.
Yeah.
You got to have somebody that can manage this for you on your behalf, because if not, and I point blank told him, I said, I know you can't throw a bunch of receipts in a box and send them to FEMA and expect to get a check back. And he said, no. So, that ain't even a starting point. He said, if you do that, you'll never see the receipts again. But anyway, he said, I can't recommend a company in general. He said, but find out who your neighbors are using. Phillips and Jordan will be able to recommend some folks, stuff like that. He said, I'd use who they're used to using.
I hate to add to that. I think there was a lot of confusion that Debris Tech was using.
Right.
Yeah, there was.
And, you know.
Right, they heard the word documentation,
That's right.
and they do prepare documentation to submit to FEMA, but it's only this much and you need this
That's
much.
exactly right,
we take their documentation, spice it up a bit.
You're an overlay for that.
Yeah,
That's right.
and then outside of that, I mean, you're also gonna have your own your street crews, your public works crews, like, they also did debris. Debris Tech only documents Phillips and Jordan work.
Right. We have to document what we did the
Mhm.
first 72 hours.
Mhm. And you don't wanna leave that money on the table.
That's right.
And still doing it. And
still
the
doing
tarping
it.
of the buildings and
Yeah.
the 80 hours overtime that every county employee worked the first week and the labor that's been, you know, all that stuff's gotta be.
I would have to echo what Landon just said, but I too have talked to Blake, and I also talked to the county and to our Montana people and to our people that we have hired. They have, all of them are pointing me to y'all that with very high recommendations. And that's the reason we got you here tonight. But I look forward to being able to work with y'all, and without anything else on that, as far as contact, I'm pretty sure our clerk is going to be volunteer for that as a contact, just like the county's clerk is doing there too. But all in all, we're still in discussion. Anyone else that's got anything else to say, and then I entertain a motion.
So with that being said, are we looking at doing this as a joint operation with the county? Or are we doing, are we
This one
looking at
this
doing?
one is not joint.
Yes,
Because your expenses are your expenses, their expenses are their expenses. Are you going back to what I said about debris? That may be another conversation, because the county would have to volunteer to take that on. I don't know that you can just say.
No, that's all I was just wondering.
Yeah.
So if we're using the same group to consult, it
Yeah.
might be a little bit easier for us to maybe come up with a solution. So that's why I'm asking that question to see.
And it makes it a lot easier to keep things separate,
That's right.
using the
It
same
does.
group.
Right.
Because they know whether they worked in the county.
Right, we know where, yeah.
More streamlined.
and they've already had experience working with each other. I think it will work harmonious that we got all three of these that are working together and have worked together before.
And that doesn't always happen. I mean, sometimes to your point, not every actor and not every storm chaser is a good one.
This is true.
Right. But there's a special place for them.
You want me to take it?
But I would consider, especially the state of your financial affairs, that, you know, as more information comes out about Operation Clean Sweep. Now, that essentially gets rid of Phillips and Jordan and rid of Debris Tech and brings in other contractors. So I'm not, and to a county and our city that could afford it, I don't recommend it. And so if we're Operation Clean Sweep, that is, but as that comes close, as that becomes, supposedly they would be able to start in 3 weeks. So as we get closer to that time, I will help you consider your pros and cons of going that direction.
There was a meeting on that yesterday, and I guess my concern with that whole thing was, you know, we had the, oh goodness, the ones that shipped out to Florida.
Nope.
No, the National Guard.
Oh,
yeah.
So we have the National Guard in here, which is, you know,
Right.
similar, you know, that they're gonna be here to help us. Well, all of a sudden,
They're gone.
somebody rattles their cage and says, you need to go to Florida. Well, guess what? They were
They
supposed to
gone.
be out there to monitor a site from 1 to 3 on that day, and they left at 10 o'clock that morning. You know, didn't tell them, gone.
We have no commitments in Florida,
Right.
and we're here. But to your point, yeah, that could be very similar for
Right.
a lot of people in the industry.
Yeah, yeah. So, anyway.
But that could also be on the opposite side. The contractors for Clean Sweep could be gone. There's only so many debris trucks.
Right. And Phillips and Jordan having 61 or 62 in here doubles, they sucked up a lot of them to do that because they don't own those trucks.
Right.
They're placarded for them now,
Right.
right now, but they don't own those trucks.
Right. Right, so you want to keep them happy,
Right.
all that you can, so that it can clean up just as much as they can, as fast as they can. You want to encourage your citizens to let them go through at a four-way stop, wave, say hello, whatever makes them go
Well,
quick.
mine's been seeing these big black trucks come through.
That's it.
But they got a whole bunch of things on the side of the road and they ain't picking them up. And see,
They'll be there.
They will.
no, I'm just saying, you know, they are gonna ask
Yes,
you because they think you ought to know.
right.
And they don't know why. And the only thing I can tell them, I don't know. When they first asked me, I said, I don't even know what them trucks is.
Right.
You know, but they see them all around town. And just like when we come in just a few minutes ago, they had it blocked over him. But they had just come through the community.
Yeah.
See, this is the kind of thing, and they're gonna act, and after a while it starts festering, but they say, but they're just passing by us, not getting our track.
So as things settle down and they get into a rhythm, I'm not saying this week, certainly don't ask them this
No.
week, but maybe next week or the following week, you could ask them for a plan, a work plan, and you could perhaps communicate that to your citizens.
People just question.
Right. The other thing to consider is that if they're on a DOT road, so if it's maintained by Department of Transportation, Phillips and Jordan and Debris Tech will not be picking it up. DOT
Right.
or DOT contractors will be picking it up. So it's important, you know, if you do have citizens that live on state highways, that they know they need to call the maintenance garage, the DOT maintenance garage, not here.
That's the first I've heard, yeah, I know that.
Well, that's why you hired me.
Right. No, that's exactly right. So Highway 23, they won't pick up one stick of nothing on Highway 23.
221,
221, that's DOT. A buddy of mine's doing a bunch of work for him and just asked me before I walked in here which highways he needed to pick in Jeff Davis County. You know, because they want more litter because they get paid by the size of the
Yeah.
lot, the size of the tree. And I told him definitely the Broxton Highway headed out to in Douglas and 23 and those, but yeah, that's all going to be on the state. And as we were told last night, don't expect it to happen overnight because they are just now looking for contractors to do it because the state can't fulfill those obligations. And all your, you know, where Asplin normally cuts your power lines and stuff like that, the residential feeds that still got everything laid across them where your Connexon and all that comes in, don't expect that to be cleared for a while. Because that's just another contractor that's got to come in. They won't do anything with that either. So it's either going to be a county maintained road. If the county scrapes it or maintains it, asphalt or city,
That's where they go.
that's where they're going.
Now, later you could have a conversation with DOT, like, that may change, but right now, they stay on, because they're contractors with you, they stay on city roads. Because you don't have the authority, you don't, outside of a disaster, maintain those roads, so you would not maintain them in a disaster, except for emergency clearance or, you know, to let an ambulance through, clear. Which I'm sure we probably did.
We've already done lots of. That's what I was thinking, it's a lot
Yeah.
of that road, you know, the state road space is gonna be full of trash now.
So let's talk about money. I will need help and I'll talk to the Montana folks, see what they can help with before they leave. Any volunteer logs, any donations that will come, you know, yeah, we have a 90-day period that we're gonna get 100% federal share, but that's only 90 days. And we're gonna have work outside of that 90 days. So any volunteers, even if it's, you know, even if it's a paid employee that volunteered outside of their paid employee times, or they use their personal truck, we can claim that. That's not something we need to worry about in the next week, but definitely before Christmas, that's where we can pick up money that a lot of communities leave behind.
We've had a great deal of it, of course, not all.
Right, now we have to figure out how to document it.
Volunteer
Yeah.
signing in and all that kind of stuff.
Great,
now.
wonderful.
But of course, it's still a vast majority that's still out there too.
And that's something, you know, after the fact, whether there's a volunteer in the community or it's someone on my staff, we can spend a lot of time trolling Facebook for good. And, you know, we can see like a church group, you know, cooked hot dogs. Well, I have been the person that would count the number of hot dogs on that table and claim, you know, a hot dog meal. So we'll do all we can to get you the money. But the more we have to work with, you know, the faster we can get there. You know, a trailer of water from Walmart, and I know Walmart probably gave you a trailer of water, is $15,000, because I know how many pallets fit in there, I know the pricing, but, so we can get there quickly. We just need your permission and a little bit of help to get there.
A lot of that will be coordinated through, what I was telling you, through our fire department area.
Great.
We've got a lot of those records already.
Awesome.
And still collecting some of those. I've been very humbled at the amount of people that are coming from all over the state, all over the country, to be able to help and trying best to be able to maintain some type of a log or record of these things. But like I said, I'm very, very humbled with the support, the volunteers that we have that's out there. We had one yesterday that unfortunately a volunteer that fell out of a bucket truck.
Oof.
And he was one of our councilman's son too. But we hope and pray that we don't have those kind of things, but
Right.
they're there.
So do we need, I guess we don't have a contract to actually sign. We need to give you the authority to enter into a contract. Is that what we're looking at doing, or?
It would go to legal first and give me the authority to sign it, I guess.
That's basically what we did last night.
Well, I'll make a motion that we give the mayor the authority to enter into a contract with ER Assist.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded that I'll be given the permission to sign a contract with ER Assist after legal has signed it. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we shall vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed, like sign. Motion to pass unanimously. After it goes to legal, we'll be begging you ahead.
Well, I'm already gonna sit down and make sure we get logged into FEMA today, so
Thank you. Thank you.
we'll get it done.
All right.
When do you think we'll have that?
You will have it